Welcome back to another episode of the MacRumors Show. Hartley, good afternoon. How's it going?
It could not be going better after this week's shock Apple product release.
Yes, we did get a brand new, fully revamped sock. We got a sock. I also don't remember the iPod sock that this is modeled after. I must have completely wiped that from my memory. Can you enlighten us all, for those who are like me and don't know what in the hell we're talking about?
So a long time ago, Steve Jobs unveiled the iPod sock, which was an accessory for the iPod. And they were sold in, I think it was packs of 6 for $30. So you got a whole bunch of them in different colors. And I think he described it as designed to keep your iPod warm. I think the actual reason was that, and I think he referred to this, was that third-party companies were taking such a big piece of the pie with iPod accessories that Apple figured they may as well release their own. And their solution to that was the iPod sock, which, for all intents and purposes, were relatively popular. I actually do remember seeing them around.
I don't think I've ever seen this ever. This was at a special music event in 2004. That's why I wiped it from my memory, because I was 14, 15, somewhere around there. Yeah, I didn't care. I don't even think I had an iPod at that time. So they were available in 6 different colors, including green, purple, gray, blue, orange, and pink for $29. So that leads us to yesterday, where now this is a limited edition, and it's not technically a full Apple product, as it was teamed up with a Japanese fashion house. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name because I don't want to butcher it.
ISSEY MIYAKE.
Okay, thank you for my very cultured friend across the pond, ISSEY MIYAKE, to launch the iPhone Pocket, which is a 3D knitted limited edition accessory. And it's about $200 more than the original. Actually, there's a shorter strap design for $150, but everybody kind of latched on to the $229 price tag for the longer one. But this is designed to keep your iPhone warm, since nobody has an iPod anymore, or at least is using them on a regular basis. So that's what we got. No Apple TV, no HomePods, but we got a new sock. And do you get a pack of 6, or is this just for one?
No,
this is just for one. That's ridiculous. At least you got a 6-pack, and then you could use that for something, This is...
I mean, the price is on account of the fact that the product is essentially a designer product. So this is Apple's first collaboration with a major fashion designer since the Apple Watch Hermes, which of course it still does. And ISSEY MIYAKE is a major Japanese fashion house. So they do have some past relation with Apple because they designed Steve Jobs' turtleneck, of which he had many, and those were custom designed for him by this fashion house. So there is a little bit of a link there.
So see, you learn something new every day. I like that. That makes more sense. $230 is still absurd. But if you want to be a collector and all that, I mean, you can jump in on this limited edition. I tried to buy one yesterday, but I don't think you can. Are they not available yet? November 14th.
Not just yet. But they are going to be available in certain Apple stores around the world, usually pretty large flagship locations. And
we're going to go hands-on with the sock.
They'll be fairly popular among people that are willing to spend that amount of money. I think they're quite cool. I think some of the marketing images show how you can kind of knot it around and attach it to your bag. Yeah. I certainly can see that this isn't really all that different to something like the crossbody strap.
No, it's just a little more ridiculous because it's a sock that's $230. That's all. That's what people are going to get hung up on. I mean, looking at it, it's a pretty nice sock. Like, I can't believe I said that. It's looking at the imagery that Apple put out. This guy is wearing it as a crossbody, strap for his phone, and then somebody tied it to their purse. And this makes sense. This isn't something I'm probably going to see in the wild too often, if ever, in my neck of the woods, maybe. But yeah, I mean, there's gonna be some people that buy it, I guess. I think it's just the fact that there's no HomePod and no Apple TV that people were really expecting. That's just like, this is what you get instead. You get a sock.
It's just so unexpected.
Yeah, I'm not hating on it.
I think it's kind of delightful. The only thing that my only disappointment with it, I guess, and I understand that this is a collaborative product, so this wouldn't really be in keeping with the marketing necessary for such a product. But when Apple unveiled the iPod sock, there was a lot of frivolity around that. They understood that it was a humorous product in a way. It was just designed to be fun, that you just get 6 for $30, pick the color you want, and just enjoy using it. And they were fairly popular at that time. This is something that Apple is presenting in a very straight-faced manner, which I understand because they've got to do that for the fashion house. But I kind of wish that maybe this wasn't a collaboration and this was just one of the accessories, and it was along the same lines of, want to keep your iPhone warm? Then go buy this. Well, I guess they're calling it Pocket, not sock. But yeah, it's like it's designed to be like an external pocket.
But like, is inflation that crazy from 2004 to now, where you could have gotten 6 for $30 and now you can't get 1 for 30? You can't get 1 for less than $150. But is it just because it's you're paying for the brand names that's attached to it? I get it, but it's just,
the ISSEY MIYAKE is known for its textiles and materials and how it weaves those together. It uses a lot of synthetic materials in a very
looks really nice,
unique way. It's known in particular, I think they're known for their trousers, or I guess you would say pants.
I would not call it trousers.
Homplice, and they have this texture. They're one of the better known products from that fashion house, and this looks like it is kind of based on the design of that particular garment. So there is a reason for its price tag, but this is not something that ordinary people are going to buy or use. But I think among the sort of people that would be willing to spend that money, I think it's pretty cool and people will probably buy it.
Are you buying one?
No. I have no desire to have my iPhone like outside my actual pockets or my bag in any way. But would I have bought an iPhone sock? I probably would have bought an iPhone sock if I got 6 for $30.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I just kind of feel like you'd got to get one just to get one, and just kind of lay them around the house, and maybe you bring them out during the holiday season. I don't know. They're pretty festive. But like, I
feel like it's
just
kind of more useful. That design is more useful.
Yeah.
When you want added protection, if you're going to, like say when I go play tennis every week, I take my phone out my pocket and I put it in my racket bag. I would kind of prefer to be able to put it in a sock and chuck it away so that my keys are not like brushing up against my bag or
it's true,
anything like that. So
I kind of do that.
There is a case for some kind of product like that, but this iPhone Pocket is not going to be that for me.
I do the same thing, but for golf. When I put it in my bag, I try not to put it in a bag with all like the tees and the golf key or my car keys or whatever. So I try to find a separate compartment. I guess I would just throw it in a little sleeve. That would make more sense. Yeah, that's a very limited use case, though. I don't know that I would use it much beyond that. I've got a whole damn Vision Pro headset that I didn't use for like 6 months, okay? And you're going to tell me I'm going to use the sock more often? Granted.
You might.
M5 Vision Pro. I've been using that a lot more. Just slightly off topic, but
oh, really?
We also did the video on here's a shameless plug. Go watch the Android, what is it? The Samsung Galaxy XR. I just did the video on that. I can give you the spoiler if you'd like.
Please do.
The Vision Pro is better, but it's like it's like most experiences that you do on each one, I would say they're not that far off. Overall, the Vision Pro is just better quality from a display perspective, from the foveated rendering, all of that. But like watching content, I felt like it was a very similar experience. The UI is very similar. They pretty much took the entire operating system and just gave it its own Android version. But like the gestures, the hand and eye tracking is just not there. But I did say, we're not going to kill it yet because we didn't kill Apple, or we had to give Apple some time. We gave them 18 months, and look at how much and how far that product has come. Now, we have to give Samsung and Google some time. This is the first gen. So any more that you would like to?
I was going to say, I have some Vision Pro related news myself because
Did you buy one?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. When are we going to do are we going to do a FaceTime?
Yeah, we definitely can. So I'm waiting for it to arrive.
Should we do an episode?
Yeah, we can do. That might be fun.
Hey guys, just want to let you know this episode of the MacRumors Show is sponsored by Shopify. When I first started doing YouTube and eventually it led me to the role that I have now, especially with the podcast, it felt like I kind of had to figure everything out myself at first. Scripts, logos, merch, uploads. It's a lot. And that's true for anyone starting something new. You've got the big idea, but the details can be very overwhelming. That's where Shopify comes in. Shopify is the commerce platform powering millions of businesses around the world. In fact, it drives 10% of all e-commerce in the US. From household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started, Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store that actually matches your style, and no coding is required. Need help with your podcast descriptions or marketing? Shopify's AI tools can write headlines, enhance product photos, and even help you run social campaigns. And when you're ready to sell, Shopify handles everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. So if you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for a $1 a month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Mac. Go to shopify.com/Mac. That's shopify.com/Mac. M-A-C. Thanks, Shopify, for sponsoring this episode.
But the interesting thing about my purchasing experience was what I needed was basically not in stock basically anywhere in the UK. And I have I just needed a medium
for glasses
headband. For the just the light seal and the headband was not available anywhere. And I have it was just a normal medium, and it was, I think, a 33W light seal. And when I tried it and I got some other results, because if you keep doing that test, you do get different suggestions.
That's not great.
I know it's not great, but you definitely do get different outcomes depending on what lighting you do it and things like that. So I looked at stock and very low. And this Vision Pro that I've ordered, it's coming directly from China. So it looks like, at least for the UK, they must be largely now just made to order. I imagine buying in store or ordering online now, you're going to be waiting at least 2 weeks. And that is coming from China. That is not available here. So I thought that was an interesting reflection of the inventory for this product, and that they're not readily available in the way that they were a year ago now, which I suppose is a reflection of the demand.
So you're saying the demand is probably better then? Or are you saying that they don't
No, I'm saying the demand is worse.
So they're making it... Okay, I was going to say, because you could read that either way. Like the demand, they're coming from China, so they can't keep up with production. Like there's so many orders, or there's not enough orders, so they're not going to make bulk. They're just going to make it to order.
Yeah, I think that's the case. And they're not stocking warehouses full of Vision Pros, at least in the UK. Maybe in the US it's different, but I imagine across Europe and the UK, that's probably not the case, and Vision Pros are relatively hard to get hold of in specific configurations. I'm sure you can go and buy one in a store and walk in, but maybe that would need to be a flagship store, and you would need to just have potluck about whether they had your particular light seal and headband. But even as I say, my combination was out of stock everywhere, absolutely every location. I live quite near London, and I don't mind traveling to get to different Apple stores, and all of them did not have any in stock for me.
That's interesting. I can't actually see what the demand is right now, or if I can pick one up, because you have to do the test again. So I'm not going to do that. But yeah, that is interesting. I really hope that Apple doesn't kill this off and keeps going with it, because we've talked about this before, but it's got the potential, and it's got some good pieces to it that can be used for other things in the future, which is what I think they're doing. I'm still bummed to see that our old friend, the iPhone Air, is just so bad that now they've delayed or might even do the second generation, or just will postpone it. They might add a second camera. Maybe that will help, which I would be all for. Add a telephoto. I don't want the ultra wide, but they'll probably add an ultra wide. So that's kind of some of the news that's going on here. It's a slow week. We also have another. Well, we can keep going on this. I guess the iPhone Air, Foxconn dismantled all but one production. I mean, what else is there to say? It's like it's a dying product and no one's buying it, and I don't understand why. Because this is one that I actually think is really, really good. It's just got to be.
I agree. I think it's a great product. It's just quite shocking, and this week's news was even more shocking to me because the iPhone mini had 2 generations a year apart. The iPhone Plus had 2 generations a year apart. We had 4 consistent years of that kind of middle of the road iPhone. And now the iPhone Air is not going to have a successor 1 year later. The reception to it has been so poor, at least in terms of sales, that Apple is delaying the second generation and probably will bring it out now in the first half of 2027. So alongside the iPhone 18 and iPhone 18e, which I guess makes sense because then at least in 27, we'll have 3 iPhones at the start of the year and 3 iPhones toward the end of the year. So it is splitting things up a little bit more nicely, but it's just surprising that the iPhone Air in its current form is exiting production supposedly completely by the end of this month. So I think it was Luxshare, which is one of the assemblers for the iPhone Air, ended production at the end of October, completely discontinued it. And Foxconn, the other assembler, is going to end it by the end of this month. So there will be no more being produced in factories. Everything else will just be stockpiled, and Apple will sell through that stock pretty much for the next 18 months, which is pretty amazing. That if you walk into an Apple store over a year from now and buy an iPhone Air, that iPhone Air will already exist in the world right now. It will just be stuck in some warehouse somewhere.
Do you think there's going to be like massive sales on this for the holidays? Do you think that this also would be, I know I've asked you this before, but like if Apple just comes out and says, all right, what is it priced at now? $9.99?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's $7.99. And the, for the next 3 months, $7.99, and say the, I don't know, other one, what's the 17 is $6.99. Which I'm always getting these prices confused. It's $7.99 right now for the 17, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So drop those two, drop that one down to $7.99 and drop the other one down by like $100. Do you think that the 17 still cannibalizes it? Do you think the Pro still cannibalizes? Because I feel like that's what's going on. It's just, it's too high of a price, and people look at the bookends of the two things, one behind it and one in front of it, and just go, I'm just going to go with one of these two because it's got what I need. I don't need anything else. I don't care that it's super thin, or the Pro has more. I'm going to go with the Pro. Done. But like in reality, I do think there is a place for this phone. This is the type of phone that I think should exist if you're not going to do like a Pro Mini kind of thing. So I just don't know what they can do to help besides just killing it off completely.
I don't know that it will be enough to even make that kind of price adjustment, because the fact of the matter is it still feels like too much of a compromise for its price. The reality is that it is inferior in a lot of respects to the entry-level iPhone. You don't even get like spatial video capture, which I know people don't really care about, but there are features that if you were to list them, the list of what that entry-level iPhone has, stereo speakers, it has the ultra-wide camera, it's pretty notable. And the price jump is really significant to actually lose those features. And then for only $100 more, you can step up to the Pro that has everything. And for as long as Apple is trying to walk that line of offering something that is in the middle, I think it will encounter this problem. So the rumor is that part of the reason that they are delaying it is not just due to its lack of popularity, although that's what's caused it. The reason is that they are reevaluating what the Air is. So we were imagining that the iPhone Air 2 was originally going to be pretty much the same as the first version, but with an A20 chip and pretty much no other changes, just some of the basic sort of software level improvements that come to each iPhone generation. Maybe some camera enhancements. It's hard to say. Probably not, though. Maybe I think it was supposed to be a new front-facing camera, was rumored at one point, but very little else. And instead, it looks like Apple is now taking the feedback from these low sales to completely reevaluate the device and try and overcome some of these compromises. And one of those is cameras. So they want to add 2 cameras, or add 1 camera, so for a total of 2. One of those would be a new ultra-wide camera. They also want to add the vapor chamber from the iPhone 17 Pro models. And also, I mean, how they would do this, I have no idea, but they also want to apparently add a larger battery. And I think their hope is that if they do those 3 things, the device will be more compelling. I think there was also rumors about it being even lighter. So somehow with a larger battery, an added camera, and an added vapor chamber, a newer chip, and yet lighter. Now, if they're able to do that, that is an engineering marvel at that point. And a 1 generation increase, I think that would be massive. But if it's still priced like that, I don't think it's going to work. I think the only way this sort of iPhone works is with even more distance on both sides. I think if you are getting a clear $250 difference either side, more people would opt for it. But 100 is nowhere near enough. Even 150 probably isn't enough, especially when people are on subsidized contracts and the difference reduces a lot to just a few extra dollars a month. Why would you not go for the Pro model that has so much more to offer? So while I sort of understand the strategy of go back to the drawing board, come up with a better design, offer even more in that package, I don't know that it will make any difference in the long run.
I hate to agree with you, but I agree. Not that I hate to agree with you because you said it, but like I hate that this is what I'm agreeing to because again, I do really like this product. It's on my desk. For some reason, I just have that as my other phone on my desk. And I've been picking it up from time to time on accident because it's not my main phone. And I'm like, man, I really want to switch back to this. It's just the lack of telephoto lens that's killing me. Everything else is fine for me. And if they can somehow do all of the things that you said, that makes it nearly perfect. And yet no one's going to buy it. And that makes me really sad. Like, I just want this phone to improve and be around as an option because I think it is a good option. And I mean, you can see it. We've talked about it, all the comments on my videos that I've done about this phone. And it had a high level of interest, at least in terms of views and stuff. When we published videos on it, people were into it. Everyone that has bought it seems very happy with it. So, I mean, it's tough that, like, I don't know, the average person is not really seeing kind of the vision behind it. I don't know. Samsung already gave up. So maybe Apple's like, what are we competing against ourselves for at this point? Like, what's the point?
I don't see them giving up on the form factor because I think, as I've said before, I think that the iPhone Air will become the entry-level model eventually. I think that design will trickle down. And probably the way that this is going is the iPhone 22 or whatever it'll be by then will look like an iPhone Air. But at this stage, I think Apple doesn't know how to present that offering. And it's just, I understand it from a consumer's perspective, but I don't know how they get around it. I think that this kind of third iPhone model, or I guess it is in theory a fourth one, if you include the Pro Max, it's kind of cursed. Like, this is their 5th attempt at doing that. And every single one has failed. In terms of sales, all of them have been less than 5%. And this one, we don't know. But for them to disassemble these production lines this early, this is even sooner than they did for the iPhone mini. They didn't delay the subsequent iPhone mini's launch. So I would guess that this has been even less popular than that, which is pretty astonishing. I mean, what must this be? 3% of sales? It's very small.
Yeah, we don't really get those numbers, unfortunately. I don't know. I think delaying it with the 17 or with the 18, the standard and the E, gives it more of a possibility to kind of let it shine, because it'll be the more intriguing of the bunch. It'll be the more premium one, technically, if it's still priced at the same point. But a new iPhone season September, and everybody knows that. Even the average people that are, very like, I don't know, not paying attention to it, they all know new iPhones come out in September. Everybody kind of knows that. And so I feel like it's wired in our brains. And when they don't see that as an option and people go for that yearly upgrade, now you're kind of set into your year in September, they're just going to get another Pro. Like, I just feel like that's what's going to happen. So you're just making it worse. You're even probably going to make it worse for the standard model.
Next year, any iPhone Air customers who are tech enthusiasts, they love that design, they're going to get to September next year, and there's going to be iPhone 18 Pro models and no Air. And they'll think, well, it's been a year. I've had the iPhone Air for a year. Time to go back to a Pro. And then the iPhone Air will come a few months later, and they'll think, well, I just got this Pro model. Why would I downgrade to an Air?
Yep. Exactly. So you're making it worse for yourself, Apple. You're doing this to yourself. Some of this is self-inflicted, I feel like. Maybe it's if they can figure out a way to make it nearly as Pro as the Pro model and just name it Pro somehow with the Air moniker, iPhone Air Pro, I don't know. Like, I feel like they're like, for the people that want just a Pro form factor, a Pro phone in a smaller form factor, really it should just be the Mini. Like, I don't know. There's got to be a way.
Maybe I think that's what they were hoping that the Air would be. That's why they marketed it as though like all the power of Pro in a thin design.
Yeah, doesn't have the name.
I think that's what they wanted to give it with the Air, but it's just a price issue. If we were talking about the entry-level iPhone at maybe, not the entry-level because it wouldn't be the E, but let's go with the standard iPhone 17 at $800, the iPhone Air at $1,000, and then the Pro maybe $1,300. I mean, I wouldn't like that because I have a Pro, but I think from a business perspective, you would then start to encourage people a little bit more to go for the Air. But then is that worth it? Because then you're dissuading people from buying that more premium device that is a better showcase of your technology. So I wonder if what we're getting to here is it's just a fundamental issue with offering an iPhone in this in the middle of the range here. There's just not that much space for it.
These prices for phones are ridiculous. And it's failing because of that mostly. But, who knows? We'll see what happens with this next version if it actually does come out. I feel like each week we just get worse news about the Air. Not another great topic is Fitness Plus. But, I mean, that's – I kind of thought that this would be the case. I figured, like, I don't know, Peloton kind of had like a strong grapple on that market. And I think they still do for the most part, even though that company was also on the verge of bankrupt or went bankrupt and got picked up by something. But I think that was mostly just for the machines itself, more so than like the actual service. Because a lot of people, my wife included, really loves using her Peloton, but she really just loves the instructors that come with it. So Fitness Plus apparently is just not doing as well as people thought it would. And that's apparently now under review. Do you think this is also going to be chopped up in the chopping block that apparently Apple's growing list of?
So this was a report from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, and he did say that he doesn't expect Apple to axe the service because it costs Apple so little to operate it, and some people like it. And essentially, the tiny amount that it costs Apple to run it is not worth the negative PR. Apple doesn't want headlines about a service being removed from Apple One or a failed service, especially when its services business is growing and does so well, and especially inspires a lot of investor confidence. So it's essentially worth keeping it running to not avoid those headlines, but it doesn't produce revenue. And it's sort of the weakest service right up there with Apple Arcade. But it's an interesting report because it does feel like Fitness Plus has been really stagnant since it was launched. I know Apple Arcade, we don't hear much about it, but we do get new releases every week. Even a new title was announced for it today, and that does trickle out. And while I don't play a lot of games on my devices, when I travel occasionally, I'll play Mini Metro or something like that. But some people, and I imagine especially if you have kids, it is a great service. And I know that when I was younger and I used to enjoy iOS gaming back on my iPod Touch before I had an iPhone, I would have loved a service like Apple Arcade to have all of these ad-free games. And that service feels a little bit more cohesive than something like Fitness Plus, where kind of what is it doing? I can't actually dramatically change my level of attention to a particular part of my body. I can do these kind of functional strength training or kickboxing, but like how many people are doing a kickboxing workout on Fitness Plus every week? There probably are people out there that are doing it and probably enjoy it, but it's not particularly mass market. I imagine like the meditations are probably more popular. Maybe high intensity interval training is a little bit more popular, maybe yoga. But some of these workouts, I just think, who's doing this?
So the one thing that like kind of shocked me is that when Peloton was kind of on the ropes and I thought was going to go out of business, like why didn't Apple just go and scoop them up and buy it? Maybe not for the machines per se, but for the user base, because there are millions and millions of users that are paying that $40+ a month for the classes. Like I said, my wife is a huge user of the Peloton bike. She has very specific instructors that she likes to use. Those instructors are famous now in their own rights. Like how I know they probably have tried to lure some away, and I'm not super into this world, so maybe they might have successfully brought some over, but not the ones that I know from just being familiar with, using the bike every once in a while. I'm not a big Fitness Plus or Peloton user, but I just prefer to work out under my own kind of say. But there is a fan base for this and a user base for this. And so I'm surprised they haven't tried, because it doesn't seem like the Fitness Plus instructors are super popular.
I don't know.
Maybe with the people that are using it.
Among the people that I see using it, like on Reddit, they definitely have like their favorite instructors, which is why Apple lets you filter by instructor. But I think it's just that the whole thing is a little bit less of a cohesive experience because you don't have the equipment that links into it. And it's very kind of family friendly, which is why Apple didn't acquire. It's one of the reasons why Apple didn't acquire Peloton, because Peloton can be expletive at times. It can be quite aggressive, whereas Fitness Plus is very gentle. It's very friendly. It's very positive. It's a much more Apple vibe. But it's almost a little bit like Workout Buddy, where it's almost a little bit too positive. Like sometimes I want to be pushed a bit harder. And I think this is what why it's under review. So it's not necessarily going anywhere right now, but Apple is kind of folding it into their health division, and their health division is now answering to Eddie Q, who is responsible for services. So this is an internal reorganization that is going to put a lot more pressure on that service to perform and to bring in subscribers. So I imagine we will see some changes, which I think would be really overdue. I think the app needs some work. I would like to be able to kind of queue up workouts and see what is up next, instead of just having to kind of navigate down an endless list. I know I can filter it, but it doesn't feel like I can just jump into what I want to. And also I would like things that feel more cohesive in terms of a course of workouts. And I know that Apple now has, you could do like a 6 weeks of strength training, but it doesn't feel like personal training. I would like something where they're more traditional splits, they're more traditional workouts. Rather than just, it feels very isolated. Like you get this video that's just 10 minutes of functional strength training, and it's your whole body. It's a lot of legs. A lot of it isn't using any weights. A lot of very repetitive movements that are just body weight exercises. And that's kind of it. And then it's over in 10 minutes, and it doesn't relate in any way to then what you would do in the next session. And that kind of disconnection is what at least doesn't have me going back to the service. I actually did do a Fitness Plus workout yesterday, and it was pretty good. But afterwards, it's just kind of like, why would I go back? What's next? The next one I'm going to do is going to be with a different instructor, filmed at a different time, a different duration, and it just doesn't feel connected.
Should there just be more like cohesive programs then, like I want to get, 3 pounds of muscle. I don't know. You just want to increase your muscle, like specific programs tailored to what you want. And then that same instructor is doing like a whole series on that. Like that would be probably
and
more.
They have things like that, but they never really go that far. And instead it feels like Apple just dumps these videos onto the service and just says, just go watch them and do whatever you like. But it doesn't feel like enough to me. And even where they've got integration with obviously your activity rings and with Apple Music, I know they do like special like spotlights on artists and things like that, but it never feels like it goes far enough. Like I'm not super engaged in the music a lot of the time, which feels like a bit of a problem. It's just like, oh, okay, it's an R&B workout, so here's some R&B and the song pops in from the side. That's it.
Yeah, but Peloton's really good at the way they incorporate that. The instructors are singing along. Like there's much more personality. Like you said, they can be more free. They don't have to worry about whether they're being too vulgar. They sometimes are pretty vulgar. I don't know if Fitness Plus, because like I said, I have not used that service since it first came out. Do they do shout outs and stuff of like see people that, because there's no live. Is there live? Nope. There's no live. So that's another big thing. A lot of people really like taking these live classes because it does feel like you're in, that you're not isolated, that you're in this community.
I would like that. I would really like live classes if they were available. And I feel like it's things like that it needs. I think it needs a redesigned app, and I think it needs some actual different elements of the service that you're paying for. I mean, I think Fitness Plus costs $15 a month if you don't get it as part of Apple One. That's quite expensive. It needs
either you completely do what Peloton's doing, the right stuff that they're doing, or you absorb them. And if you're worried about the expletive, material, just put a little E like you do for the songs. Put a little rating like you would for Apple TV Plus. Come on, we're not, don't baby the adults that are using this. Let them figure it out. But I understand why, but there's a way. Do they film still a lot of these at Apple Park, or do they do them in different studios that just look like Apple Park?
Yeah, they have different studios. I don't know that they are actually at Apple Park. Maybe some of them are.
I know some are in
recent times. But it just doesn't feel like it's a service with much direction. And I kind of question why meditations are thrown in there as well. I kind of wish that was its own app, like it is on the Apple Watch. It's a mindfulness app. That would make more sense to me, that I can go on the Apple TV and go into the mindfulness app and get up a meditation. Whereas instead, meditations are buried in the fitness app with your kickboxing. And that just doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Well, many questions that I have. We've asked this before, but where my iPhone Air users at, and are you bummed that there might not be a Gen 2, or at least not for a little while? Where are my Fitness Plus users at? Because I am not any good in this department, but would love to hear from you guys and what your thoughts are on Fitness Plus, why you like it, what you don't like. Hopefully this doesn't get chopped. Like I said, doesn't seem, or like what Hartley is saying, doesn't seem like that's the case right now because of the low overhead, but there's definitely room for improvement. And so the under review makes plenty of sense. But yeah, let us know in the comments, and we'll catch everybody in next week's episode.